Do you hate being in a situation where the guy is using the Black Serpent spell and other spells, always being at range, and even if you try and get close, they could just get you? Well, I have a solution for you. My name is Deathbat Soldier, and I'm going to teach you today how to be doing similar to parries, but a thing called spell parries. Essentially, what this is going to be doing is it's going to be parrying spells. A very popular spell is Chaos Bed Vestiges. It's high damage, large range, and its fairly good speed and decent tracking can cause devastating damage. The problem with Chaos Bed is that its high range is essentially able to go past the safety barrier of the shield. As circled in blue, that's pretty much what protects us from this red. Anyway, pretty much it's just large enough to go past it, causing partial parry damage. And of course, Black Serpent, the one we all hate. Pretty much the insane tracking, decent speed, and its ability to pretty much do the combos with another spell makes it devastating. As you can see here, essentially what's happening is that as the spell is coming towards us, it's pretty much going to be bent around because the auras grew enough. Because the aura grew enough, it was able to go around it, as you can see here. Now, I'm going to be calling it aura just for simplicity's sake. Following up is Crystal Soul Mass. Now, obviously this works with any of the soul masses, but this is actually a fairly difficult one to parry. What I mean by this is that it's really fast, able to shoot right across the screen. And as you can see here, what I did is I did it at the last second because the aura is pretty much growing outwards because of the multiple projectiles compensating it to go around. Another interesting one is Fair and Hail. This one you can completely negate all damage without moving a single step. Essentially, you just spam 2 parries back to back, and you won't take any damage, and you will look completely like a badass. One thing to note is if a mage is free-aiming this, it could pretty much catch your roll, so this could be useful. Similarly, Fire Whip. This one is essentially, I didn't spam it back to back, but you could actually do the same thing where you take no damage whatsoever. Next up on our list is Force. Now, you can't technically parry this, but you can parry through it. Essentially, what happens is that you won't get knocked down. Obviously, this is a popular spell for cliffs, so if you think they're going to be doing it, you could use it to your advantage. Up next is Lightning Spear. Now, obviously, this functions the exact same way as the more powerful Lightning Spears, so it's easy to parry just as the same way. Up next is Lightning Stake. Now, you can't actually parry this, and I wanted to bring this up because this applies to all spells similar to it. As you can see here, you cannot parry this because the spell is still connected to its user, which is not a projectile penetrating our defense. Lightning Storm. This is a very odd exception where you obviously cannot parry the falling lightning bolt, however you cannot parry the shockwaves. What I mean by this is because it's still, the game considers it to be connected to them. Pillars of Divine Light, used by the angels. Essentially, the properties is similar to Force when it comes down to parrying it. Now, what happened is that in this footage, I didn't actually get the proper parry, but as you can see right here, is that the pillar isn't connected to the user. As such, we can technically get those iframes, which can take us through the hit. Dorries Nying. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but this is similar to Chaos Bed Vestiges. Pretty much, it doesn't really go around properly, and we still suffice damage. Great Deep Soul. Now, this is very similar to most fireball spells, where pretty much you can easily deflect it. It goes around, very satisfying, and due to its slow nature. Now, this is very interesting. Great Chaos Fire Orb. You can actually iframe through the lava, which is very interesting, and you could actually roll through it if you wanted to, or you could just stay there. Combustion, a spell that's usually popular amongst pyromancers if the foe gets too close, sadly is not parryable, because, as stated before, it's still technically considered to be a part of the user. For a quick recap, essentially what you have to look out for is a few things, one of them being, is the spell connected to the catalyst of the user? Is the spell connected whatsoever to the user? And finally, does it do a large AoE effect? On a quick side note, you should know that if you get a partial parry on a very powerful spell, you could say goodbye to your stamina, due to the fact that the stability of it is low. And you can't use this shield for normal parries. Now kick some spell casting ass, and I will see you all in the next one.